You've heard the jokes, right? About that cousin or that friend who moves to the UK and all of a sudden becomes, well, kind of stingy? Today, we're going to break down that exact stereotype of the UK migrant, the Borga, using some amazing insights from the book, The Thrifty Borga. And it all kicks off with one really powerful idea that just changes the whole game.
This right here, this is the core idea we're going to unpack. This single sentence takes on a huge, often funny, but deeply ingrained judgment. It's suggesting that what we see as a character flaw, maybe it isn't a flaw at all. Maybe it's just a symptom of being completely and utterly exhausted.
So first things first, what even is a Borga? It's a really common slang word, especially in Ghana, for anyone living overseas. And with that title comes this massive assumption that you're automatically loaded. You've made it.
And that brings us to the star of our show, the Thrifty Borga. This is the person who gets labeled stingy, but really, they're just being super careful with their money in a place where one tiny mistake can cost you big time.
Okay, so let's dive into the legend itself. I mean, this character is a star on TikTok, a regular in family jokes. They're the punchline we all kind of recognize, right?
You know the one, they always ask for the receipt. And it's not because they don't trust you. It's because every single pound has to have a story. It has to be accounted for. And they want every last bit of change, down to the final coin, because in their world, loose change isn't casual. It's actually kind of dangerous.
Oh yeah, and they calculate everything, especially during Deady December. That holiday season back home when everyone's expecting champagne showers and big spending. The Thrifty Borga, they're the ones suggesting maybe we just share one bottle.
The jokes are familiar, we all get it. But here's where we pivot. Here's the big question. What if all of that counting, all of that carefulness isn't a personal flaw at all? What if it's an absolutely essential skill for survival?
To really answer that, we have to get one thing straight. Life abroad isn't some kind of miracle. As the book puts it, it's a math problem. It's that moment where your big, hopeful optimism gets introduced to some cold, hard arithmetic.
And this just frames the whole misunderstanding perfectly. See, back home, life abroad is this magical success story. But when you're actually living it, you realize it's way more like a spreadsheet. You've got rent, taxes, bills, and they're all lining up wanting their piece of you.
And this slide, wow, this illustrates the point perfectly. A salary of £35,000 sounds pretty good, right? But just look what happens. Before you even get a whiff of it, income tax and national insurance take a huge bite. The book calls this the pay slip that changes your personality, and you can see why. You realize you're earning pounds, sure, but you're not keeping a lot of them.
This all leads to a state the book calls respectable poverty. And it's such a powerful phrase. It means you'll look the part. You've got the job, the nice coat, the right address. You look middle class. But underneath it all, your financial safety net is so thin that just one emergency, a broken laptop, an urgent flight home, could bring the whole thing crashing down. Okay, but you might be thinking, is this just a UK thing? Well, there's a fascinating comparison with the US in the book that shows it's not really about your character. It's about the system you're operating in.
So let's look at this story of two nurses. In the UK, you have Akosua. She survives by enduring. Her progress is slow, it's steady, it's quiet. She basically waits her turn. But in the US, you've got Asiamah. She gets ahead by leaping. She can switch jobs, take big risks, and see much faster, much more visible rewards. It's the same dream, but the rules of the game are completely different.
It all boils down to this. The UK system creates what the book calls an endurance culture. Risk is managed and regulated, and the rewards are quiet and slow. The US system, on the other hand, that's a hustle culture. Risk is something you can price, and if you win, the reward is loud and fast. One system creates quiet survivors, the other creates loud performers.
But the pressure doesn't just come from the official system, right? There's a second, totally unofficial home office that every migrant has to answer to, and that's the economy of expectation from family back home.
And this is how it usually works. It starts with a small request for a little bit of help. £50 here, £30 there. On their own, none of these amounts seem huge, but the pattern, it's relentless. And before you know it, all these small, urgent requests have completely wiped out your financial buffer for the entire month. It's gone.
And this is the result. This is one of the most powerful lines in the book. You end up becoming a private welfare state for people who think you live in a public one. The really devastating irony is, they assume there's this huge safety net ready to catch you if you fall, when in reality, you know that safety net often isn't there for you at all.
So, after all that,
The shrinking pay slip, the system, the pressure from home. What does this thriftiness really mean? It's time to completely reframe this whole narrative and see it as something totally different.
Now, the book adds a really interesting, nuanced question here. It asks, when does this essential survival skill become a cage? At what point does the habit of being careful stop protecting you and start limiting you from actually enjoying your life or taking a calculated risk that could lead to growth? It's a really deep question to think about.
And this brings us to the final, powerful idea. Thrift isn't about fear. It's not about being stingy. It is intelligence that has been trained and sharpened by immense, constant pressure. So the next time you hear a joke about the thrifty Borga, maybe remember what you're really seeing. It's not a character flaw. It's the hard-earned, quiet wisdom of survival.